with my arm in the air, signify.
Did you want me to record the actual interview?
Sure, if you wanted.
I know you want to upload them to YouTube, and
well, yeah, why not? We'll
we have the streamer cam now, so
yeah, that'd be awesome. We don't have that luxury on our end, and you know that.
I know. If we had four people on PC, you could actually have a full talk show set up.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe, if that's what
This is the creepy bit.
you
This is the
decide
creepy
you want
bit.
to do.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So
I agree.
it goes all silent,
All right.
and you're like,
I'm
what the
streaming.
hell?
Yep,
I'm streaming.
All right.
we're live.
Excellent. I know Justin's good. Oh yeah, nice. Dorky's good.
Awesome.
The Danger Lobster is doing his thing,
That name, dude.
Danger
and
lobster.
we'll be ready to go here in a second.
Yeah, man.
Danger Lobster.
Ready. I'm gonna absorb this nugget.
It makes me laugh every time I see that on this thing.
Me too. I get a good kick out of that.
Good to go, Danger Lobster.
Arcas.
Oh, I'm getting designated. Cheers,
That
GT.
looks
Thanks.
absolutely.
We lost Dave.
Oh, this is good that I played this because you just left.
Welcome to Arcas
Well, that's
Path
the
in
most
the Rec
important
Room
part.
with
That is
PSVR chat.
It's okay, guys. Dave's right here.
We can just interview his hologram.
Here with
Can we
us
just interview
forever.
his hologram over here?
Hi.
For every
Where are
question, it'll be the
Dave,
same
where are you?
answer.
All right, everybody got the Red Watch?
Okay, we're in the Rec Room.
Red
Awesome.
Watch Club?
No.
Red Watch
Okay,
Club?
great.
I'm coming for a
Can you
fist.
Red Watch
do
Club?
your introduction for me from your
Oh, no,
from your
she must be
Christmas thing
typing in
over
her thing
there
right
for
now.
me?
I'll get back to her.
Good to
Go on, I'll wait here.
Red Watch.
I'll wait here. Go on,
Red
ready?
Watch.
Pretend to be clipping the leaves. Ready, go.
Pound it, sir. Pound it, sir.
You lads with your...
Oh, hello. I didn't see
Pound
you.
it.
How did you do that? Did you do that with the Christmas thing? That's right.
Well, yeah, no one's seen it yet. He's
You got your
referencing
Red Watch?
something that nobody,
Red Watch?
literally nobody
All
knows.
right.
I've not watched it. I probably
Oh,
have a
guys,
suspicion that
you know what?
he's all wear the jumpers.
My chat
The
comments
jumpers.
weren't working last time, so I wonder if that's the
Yeah.
case again. I might
Yeah.
not be able
Sorry.
to see anybody's chat comments.
Yeah, no, that's been a problem.
Well,
Chat
guys,
comments
you're
are
out
really
there
working
watching.
well, yeah. Doc, have
My
you
chat is
done
not
the
working
red
as of last night.
wrist watch deal?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
you got the
This is
full colour
good.
watch.
Should be a good
Mine
show
was working.
regardless.
We shall
Mine was
see.
working
So
for
stick around
Gungrave.
and watch.
I'd hate to think
Or
that
if
was
you
the
wanna
last stream I'll
interact.
do that I chat.
Wait. No, it's working. It's working. It's working. It
That's
just
good.
took people a while to show up, I think. Excellent.
I haven't had a single comment yet. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I just got mine too. Was it a hope?
I just got mine. Can't
But yeah, once we have Jules and
Cannon, you're
30
back. What's
here,
up?
we could have 4 streamers.
Oh, yeah.
And once I figure out my
Hello,
stuff,
mate. You alright?
that'd
For
be
recordings, yeah.
So what happened to the developer,
Yeah.
though?
He
What's that guy we're
disappeared.
supposed to interview?
This is incredible. Look at the
It
detail.
disappeared.
Oh, there's my drink.
Back
Got
on?
Cannon.
There we go.
Here he
He's
is.
back on.
Odd God. Everyone else? Mohammed.
We're good.
This is the PSVR chat
Oh,
show.
Those were his final words.
Arcas Path in the Rec Room with PSVR
Never
His
chat.
final
be seen
words.
again.
Okay, I'm
Hey, how's it going, Ryan? All right, so we got a good crowd here today.
You good, Mel?
Danish, wish you could be here, man.
Yeah, I wish
Next
Danish
time.
was here.
So
Yeah.
we got a great crowd. We got Guy Cannon, Gamertag VR, the host, as always.
This is
Jason
Dave.
Lemaire,
Welcome to
producer
Arcas
behind the scenes,
Path
man.
in the
Jim
Rec Room
apparently
with
gonna do some
PSVR.
kind of music.
What's up,
Oh no, it's got something to do with the music.
There was something going on.
Okay.
All right.
Justin, of course. Of
Hey.
Juft. How do you say that? Juft Incredible, because it's a 5.
Ju 5 Incredible, yep.
Juft Incredible.
Yeah.
It is Arcas Path. Look at this positively, beautifully rendered little visor, although you can't
Yeah.
see through it. But it does stick to your face.
It's
so
the coolest thing in the world.
it looks cool. Looks cool for everybody else.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me put it on
It's
you.
Put it on tag,
Oh, the
yeah.
eye!
I said I.
Got it.
Someone's-
Anyways, that wasn't done. We've also got Dorky, Velp, and Zealots
Smooth.
who helped put all this together.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, look at
As
that.
always,
I'm the
look at
Fonz.
the artistry
Hey.
on display here. Look at this fucking stage.
That is off. Oh no,
Oh,
this is incredible.
sorry, GT, are you streaming? I'm gonna stop cursing.
Flipping
Yeah,
stage.
no, man.
I didn't hear nothing.
I'm streaming, dude. I'm good to go.
Okay. This is a beautiful level.
Sure is. It's
Clouds
even
and
more
everything.
beautiful when you can't see it with the visor on, because then
Yeah, right?
because then when you take
Well,
it
that's
off,
because we're living it for you, Justin. We're living it for you.
Danish.
Get your eyes on.
he's
Just says he's in the dorm
he's
room. right
hopping.
now.
I love it. It's truly amazing. The clouds
that
are
is
so
impressive,
like
Dave.
they look fluffy. Like
He's
it's
got
really
moves,
cool.
man.
We've got a technical
He's
issue.
got moves. Look at that.
And then the Arcas Path
It just says
avatar
he's
is
in
like
the dorm
a
room.
rec
I'm
room
saying we're
avatar.
going
It's
This way,
really
a little bit
cool.
that way,
Like,
a little this way.
Maybe I had to disappear for a second.
Any word on
Maybe
Dr.
get the-
Dave?
this is his
'Cause
message.
I definitely told this Arcas
Hi,
developer. and I don't
this
think
is
one of-
Dave. Welcome to Arcas
Yes,
Path
Dave.
in the rec room with PSVR chat. Yay!
Oh, there he is.
Right.
Okay, I'm done.
Oh, he's
Yes,
back.
I am on VR, virtual reality,
Maybe he meant he was done with the whole thing. He just came to record that.
on the
and he's done.
PlayStation.
Possibly. He doesn't
He's
like
not
calling
coming
it the
back.
PSVR chat.
He
so
said
either.
that's
he likes
it.
to call it the PSVR
Yeah.
chat.
Bye bye.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, mate, this is rec room, dude. PSVR chat
One
show.
of these
we've
days,
got,
I'll
like,
start
these
streaming at the right
Tap,
time when the
tap,
show's
tap,
about to
tap, tap.
start.
these
It's
amazing
happened.
master builders.
That's all good.
Minions back
Several
online.
months before.
And he's here.
on the
This is how it
game.
goes, guys. This is the green room.
The green
This is
room.
what every talk
The-
show is
the
like
pre-show
backstage
party.
Before.
We could just cut
Yeah,
the
you
first
just-
5
everybody's
minutes
running and
anyway.
jumping.
It's not a
We're
big
just
worry.
running and
If you see your head in the trees, you can see the clouds change color.
Hey, there's Dr. Dave.
There you go, see?
If you hold your trigger down, you can make a fist, and then that'll team us up here.
Nice,
So
man.
you-
That's awesome.
Oh, are we all
Yeah,
going
Rec
out?
Room's
Yeah.
great.
Alright.
good to go.
Rec Room's awesome.
Yeah,
We've all got red
you're
armbands.
getting paid.
Oh, look at that. He's got
I
presents.
think everybody's good. Everybody got the red.
I think
Yeah,
so.
buddy.
Yeah.
Tokens. Ballin'.
I think we're good. Yeah, you got your red. We'll do it anyways, just in case.
Yeah, you
Token.
Red, you're good.
All right, so
You're good.
Red, red, red.
Oh, he's so strong.
GT, you gonna do an official intro for us here?
Oh, we'll do when we get to the show, man. Let's
Yeah.
get to the
Okay.
set.
I'll wait till the. All
I
right,
do
so
enjoy that intro.
I'm hyped. I'm
Off to
excited.
the, off to the second room.
This would be great.
Alright,
Dun,
let's
dun,
go.
dun,
Here we go.
dun, dun,
Oh wait, we're
dun.
going now.
This
But
room
guys,
already looks incredible.
in the chat, look one more
see what we
time at
got.
this beautiful room that we're in
I know.
right now.
It is beautiful.
Don't forget its
Suck it in.
splendor.
Yeah.
Never forget. All right, let's continue.
Have you ever seen a
New
world so full of
notification.
splendor?
Moving along.
Justin Credible with a 5 for an S. That's my username on Rec Room. It's also at JUFIVE, Ju5. That's the at sign if you want to find me that way. But yeah, definitely. Oh my goodness!
Oh my God, I'm inside everyone.
Nice. I'm inside. Whoa, dude.
More importantly, we're inside of
I just-
Arcas Path right
I just
now.
can't
This is
move.
crazy.
I
This
can't
way.
There you
move.
go.
Oh, man, look at
This
that.
is incredible.
What?
This is incredible.
Yes!
Did that happen on
What
its
is
own?
happening?
Oh my
I
gosh!
can't even move.
No, Dr. Dave's moving it.
Dave is controlling it.
Nice one.
It's really like a joystick. If you tip it
you can-
forward,
Oh, there's
it will move
music
forward.
too.
Are you
Oh,
kidding?
okay, right. I'm trying to...
You guys are insane. How did you do that?
What, are you using that joystick to do that?
Yeah, he is.
So
nice? That's what it said.
cool. Look at that.
Oh man.
What mouse is actually on there?
Because we can't actually do the stuff with the head in here because it doesn't work that way. But
Right.
this is
The
as
hand
close as
still
we can get
is
to
good
it.
enough.
See,
Yeah.
this is what your game could have been like if you guys used it. Joystick.
I'm trying to work. I can't. I actually am struggling to make it work. Can somebody else do it? Does anybody know how?
I feel like you're doing better than I could
Someone else
do.
wants to give
Let's
it a
go.
shot.
Get on it.
Please, let me realign it.
Somebody else want to give it a go? I'm going to
Okay.
pass on the baton.
Pass the
Are there any
baton
parts
on.
where you can fall off?
Let's see what we got.
Visually, this is incredible.
And completely
It's
stopped.
Yeah, it really
oh, there
is.
we go.
It's
Rendered.
just like it's from the game. Like that's how good it looks.
Really cool.
These guys
It's like
are
a
insane.
mini golf course of Arcas Path.
I was thinking that too, actually. Yeah, I was
cool.
thinking that.
I gotta still have to tweak that a little bit.
Man.
Hard to grab.
Wait, so does GT.
Yeah.
You know if something happens if the ball gets all the way over here?
Yeah.
Does it?
I don't know. Probably
Are
not.
we gonna have to sit here and wait for somebody to
We
move
might-
the ball all the way
This
over?
might be
We may have to restore.
It's very cool.
Yeah, the ball, I can't grab it anymore.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's weird.
It's weird.
Just move it somewhere?
Oh no, the joystick. You should be able to grab the joystick.
Is it a case that there's too many of us in here, or?
Maybe.
Could
yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Could be just.
If you want, we can go back to the original room and like two come in at a time or something.
I don't know.
I think just a simple restore, and we could have you run through
Mrs.
itself.
GT says she loves your new look, Dorky.
Alex, try restore. It was working fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whoa.
Take 2.
We're gonna restore.
But he is part of the show and he helped make the script.
Huh?
But he can't be with us due to family issues.
Alright. Welcome back.
Here we go. Look at
Here
that.
we are.
Yeah,
Is that working the way it's supposed to?
Yeah.
More or less. It was working fine.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hey, let's watch it go. Look at her go.
Go. Everyone place your bets. Come on, Bill.
Always bet on red,
Dave, I
people.
got $5.
Always bet on red.
What are the options here? Can he get to the next part?
Yeah.
We'll see.
Oh,
Nobody bet on that. Falling
Nobody
off the
bet
side
on
of the
that.
stage.
Hang on a second. Did somebody grab a trigger zone?
Uh-oh.
What?
Trigger zone? Someone's in trouble. No trigger zone.
Never heard of that before. Maybe
What
I
is
did.
Justin, I'm looking at you.
I know. Not trying to press any buttons.
Wait, I don't think I can get past. There's like an invisible wall here or something. I can move
Oh,
left
hang
and
on a
right just
second.
fine. I can move backwards just fine. Well,
Very
sort
cool.
of.
Who's
That's
gonna make the
amazing
ball
how that's looking
noise?
though.
There's some sort of something stopping my progress
the
when I
one.
get right here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's fixing
Can I
that
go
real
around?
quick.
some of the settings changed, so hang on 1 second.
It sure is dreamy in here.
Oh, God.
So is this what designing Arcas Path was like?
It was just like this. It was exactly the same.
Exactly.
Trial and error, Dr. Dave. Trial and error.
That's so
Yeah, it was a
funny.
little bit different.
You get to relive the whole process.
Uh-oh, barking dog.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think we lost Dorky, but she's coming back.
I've got back in, man.
Good to go? Okay. We should be...
Gizmos.
That's how things
Could
move.
be all set to go.
He's fixing it.
There we go.
I gotta say once again, the skyline with those clouds is just really nice.
Nice.
Go
beautiful.
shout at my dog.
Really likely.
Yeah.
Do you know
so-
that? Do you know that song by the Orb with?
Yeah.
It's got Ricky Lee Jones, like little
Fluffy
fluffy
clouds.
clouds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great song.
Oh, it's working.
I
There we
actually,
go.
I went to Arizona recently.
Oh,
and
Yeah,
I
it's
there were
working,
basically-
but
and in that
somebody
song,
changed
it
all the
talks about
settings on
clouds
this.
in Arizona.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Let's go, Bob. Let's go.
everyone thought it was a made-up person, but the sample ended up being Rick Lee Jones.
Oh, I
just
so
thought,
want to have a
um,
go on this.
Such a good song. Such a good song. I like the Orb. I like the Orb a lot.
When I left, this was working properly, but for some reason now, they're all player trigger zones.
Oh, it's gonna make
Oh,
it.
here we go.
It's gonna make it.
What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen?
Trigger zones changed. 1 second.
Right.
Oh no!
I don't think that was any...
made it.
Yeah, I don't think that was any of our doing.
Was there supposed to be fire?
Something.
Blue team scores.
Yeah, blue team. Blue team. Blue team.
All right, who bet on blue team?
always wins.
Anybody bet on blue team?
Blue team. I want my
Set
tokens.
way too low.
6,000
Blue
tokens.
team, alright, blue team.
We're really low down here.
Let's try 100.
Yeah, blue
Oh,
team.
I'm like, what's happening to me?
There we go.
Alright.
You're flying, Dave.
Wow,
There we go.
I'm outside this. I
How
didn't
do you
mean to fly.
fly?
This looks really cool. Right, hold on.
It wasn't intentional.
So hold your move
wow.
button with your hand in the air.
This might be
And
the
you'll be
first
able to fly.
legit mini golf game in VR.
If you hold
There
the
it
move
is.
button,
Somebody grab the door.
There you go. There you go.
Where is the door? By the way?
He
I was
rises.
looking
Let's
around
get
for
him
the
off.
door.
Get him off the next ad. We'll fix it afterwards.
I feel taller now.
What? Where's he going?
Yeah, I feel a lot taller.
David.
now.
Oh, there we
flying.
go.
Where's the door? Ah, there's.
Oh, there's a door. It says not active though, which
It's
means
a-
we shouldn't go through it.
Not
No,
active.
we'll get you. I'll
Should we
get
go
you in the
through it
next room.
anyways? We'll see
Dave,
what
go
happens.
yeah,
careful.
we'll get there. We'll get there.
Alright.
I want to see.
Be careful, Dave. You don't know where that door will take you.
All right.
Oh,
Send
it's
an invite.
moving.
I'll see what happens. Sure. No, I can't go. Ah, it's eating me.
It's pulling me in.
Hold on.
It's gravity.
Oh my
Blue
god,
team
when is it
scores.
gonna kill everyone?
When does Takeshi's castle?
He's seeing it out.
It's just
Castle,
eight
that's what
I
it
know,
cannons.
I know, Master.
Takeshi's.
Oh! Give her all she's got. Come on, lads! Stop the door! Stop the door, lads! Put your back into it, Dave!
Hold it back. Put your back into it.
Hold
Jeez.
the door!
I love records.
Hold the door. Yeah, there you go. That's a good
All
one.
right, we're hopping into the next room, guys.
That was a good one.
Oh!
Super laggy.
Yeah,
There
that
we
went.
go. Sweet.
Oh, this looks insane.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh,
Like
so
here, maybe?
Dr. Dave isn't just a fun name. He's a real doctor.
The
This
amount
guy.
That's right.
detail. And
That's
like
pretty
the
exciting.
accuracy to that.
This
Fish
game
on-
that we're... What is what
Yeah.
called? Rec Room? This is Rec Room.
There. Oh, where?
Yeah, I'll want to... Yeah, we could be over here.
Yeah, I
Does
just thought
anyone know
that
who
might be the...
Goldmaster is?
Nice. You guys made
Gold
this
Master?
official?
Somebody's saying, can you add me
Sweet.
to the chat? I'm like, I don't know if I can, because you're supposed to be on the show.
Now, is it frowny?
Take my seat.
I don't know. It's not frowny.
Yeah, I'm getting loads of like
Yeah,
notifications.
okay, we can.
So, guys, we lost the doctor.
Yeah, I
What's
sent him
the doctor?
another invite when he went back to the dorm room. He
Oh,
is now
gotcha.
coming
This
in
is
right
a-
now.
I'll be honest, this
Royal
is
Throne.
the most beautiful one yet. There's
It's
no two
really,
ways about
really
it.
nice.
This
It
is
really is beautiful.
absolutely
Yeah, it's really like,
breathtaking.
that's
Fun. I
it's
really...
like, thank you. This is
These
crazy.
little details on the lettering, like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
This is incredible. Have you got a camcorder? I'm on film! Ah, I'm on film!
GT. All right, so what order are we sitting in? I think you're... Oh, there's Dave. Dr. Dave.
No,
This
just
is-
wherever you want.
I can't get over it. Amazing.
But obviously, you guys have the best view sitting there of them. So.
Wow. So Dave, because
like
I'm
it's-
left-handed, I'm going to sit on the left. Is that alright?
Taking pictures, yeah.
This is amazing. This is incredible.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. It's amazing. Look at my chair. Look at the head. Look at the table. Look at that. Sign. Tag's favorite part of these. There.
Yeah, it's customary at the beginning of the chat show to just marvel at everything for about 20 minutes.
That's half the show right there.
It's so true. It's so true.
Why is that working? Okay.
Oh,
We got it.
hey!
Oh, there's the door. Okay.
I simply can't help it. Dave, am I on the chair?
And then
You
your
are
connection
on
remote
the
gets
chair.
excited
Yeah,
again.
you're on the
It's-
chair.
it's
If
good
you
times.
back up just a
Very
little
good
bit, you'll be like chilling in the chair. Yeah, you're chilling.
There you go. Having a recline.
Speaking
Think
of
of
chair.
changing
So how we doing, guys? We all
I
good?
meant to tell Danish last time he was on the floor. Yeah, man.
times. Yeah. Looks like Dave's feeling lonely there.
Hey.
I feel just fine.
It was looking
I'm
at
doing just
you.
fine. Oh, thank you, dude.
Oh, I love it.
No one wants to sit with Uncle Dave during the
Stop looking around
holidays.
at everybody.
So Dave, you all good? I have noticed he hasn't said a word since he's been here.
Yeah, his voice isn't coming.
Yeah, I don't think his voice is working.
Yeah, we can't hear you if you're talking.
I heard them previously, but
Oh no.
So,
Dave.
what you can do is look at your watch and go into the cog at the top right of your main menu. Go into audio and see if that bar at the bottom right, it should say my microphone
this?
on.
Is
Yes.
that better?
Awesome.
There you go.
Hooray. Hooray.
Dave,
Okay.
fantastic.
All right.
Technical difficulty.
Great. Okay,
Welcome
hello
back.
everyone.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey, that's
There
right.
he is. How you doing, man?
Oh, very good. And just so you know, just behind me, in the real world, is my son.
Oh,
Who is-
Oh,
cool.
fantastic.
He's
Oh.
perfectly aware of swearing, so it's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Tech likes to keep it clean, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll keep it clean anyway.
Well, yeah, of course.
So, yeah, Dave, would you like to take? Do you want to? You got your lovely chair there, man. If you want to sit in it.
Is there
Beautiful
anything? Do I
chair.
just teleport to it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
it's
should
tough
be
one.
good. Oh, he's inside of it, but let's
That's
That
good
is
enough.
awesome.
He's, yep.
It's Dave.
part of
You're
the
alright,
chair.
Dave? Yeah.
He might have crashed.
Jeez. One of these days we're
love
going
that
to interview a developer in here, guys.
With no,
much, Noah.
we're it's all
Welcome
kinds
back
of
to the
trouble
pre-show.
here.
This is the biggest trouble we've
PSVR
seen, I
chat
think.
show.
It's normally not like this.
That's never like
No,
that.
It's
that
normally
completely
really
booted
easy,
him.
surprisingly.
That's entirely true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
I
a
love
blue screen.
Rec Room for that reason.
great. Fell through the
Yeah,
floor
that's
that
true.
one
That was
time.
a silly. That was funny.
Well, yeah. Well, we literally finished that room right when the show started.
And then transpose, we had the door issue. That was just
Yeah, new reality.
It happens. You can't avoid it.
Yes, Joystick, he really is a doctor according to that name tag over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
And name tags never lie.
No.
So,
No,
you know,
absolutely
if you've got a pain in your gut or something, you know, we can ask him about that.
Or your
I
butt.
hope he's actually a doctor.
Oh my god. We can ask him about
We have some
that.
nice calming music by Jimith while we wait.
Oh, that was Jim. Oh, dude, that's awesome.
Weird ambient stuff. It's hard to do the music for this game because it's so vast
So
and
how do you do that? How do you do the
random.
music in this game? Do you build it with instruments that are in
Yeah, I've always
Rec Room,
wondered how
or do
you
you just
implement it
import
into
it?
It's just
Oh.
so obviously I played the game, so I know what the sounds are. But then it's like, right, now I've got to try and recreate it. And the person that made the soundtrack for this game is an intelligent person, and it's not just like one sound or 2 or 3 sounds. It's a lot of intricate
Well, it seems
stuff.
generative to me. Like it's kind of based on
Yeah.
what you're doing in the game too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It goes up action point. That's why I've got parts going up and down and stuff. But it's felt that managed to get to loop. But yeah, basically things trigger in and out, and then like when you get a tension moment, that maybe the actual rolling sound effect of the ball kind of ties into the track as well.
Yeah.
So it's
I
it's
love
pretty
that
cool.
sound, by the
And-
way. It sounds so pleasing.
Oh yeah, it's great. It sounds fantastic in the
My
game.
chair. It's got flowers underneath it.
It's not. Do you know what, GT? How much do they look
Yeah,
like the Umbongo flowers?
The what?
The Umbongo.
Well, can you
Umbongo.
hit them and they make a bongo?
No.
noise?
The Umbongo
Oh.
juice. Remember the juice?
Oh, I'm bungo. Sorry.
Yeah,
I wasn't
because I'm
sure what you said.
Scottish.
Back
Aye.
online.
Yeah.
It's because
Say
I'm
it again.
Scottish.
Do it again.
Umbongo.
All right.
Umbongo.
Apologize.
Umbongo. Umbongo.
Blame it on the wreck. Yeah,
Bongo.
yeah.
It is what it is.
That's what it looked like. Oh, guys. What would we do if Rec Room just worked?
Dave, look at the sky now. There's a big blue
The only
circle
thing
in
is,
the middle.
right, we're all here, so I'm thinking maybe it isn't us. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, I think it's the
No,
update,
it's having-
update.
Ooh, I got a new
We're having trouble
notification.
today.
I don't know who that is.
Hey, he's back.
back.
Dr.
Dave
Dave.
Back.
Nice.
Yeah, sorry, it's Rex having all
Back
kind of
now.
trouble
There
today.
he is.
Yeah, Rec Room's having issues,
I'm pretty sure
unfortunately.
we've had an
Away from
update.
that
I think to be honest, I think
earlier
it's my
today,
internet
and then another
connection. Oh.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but we shut a door, but we've opened the door. I think that's maybe
Okay.
Oh no.
That's what it's all about, man.
Alright, so
Keep the
that's
doors
it.
open.
Yeah, you got to open.
We
Yeah, you got
gotta-
to open the doors.
We gotta ask the questions as quick as we can before the internet cuts out again. So,
So, right, Dave, if you're happy, I'm
Yeah,
going to make
I'm
a
happy.
start. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the PSVR Chat Show. This show is your show for inside developer information and to spread the love of virtual reality gaming. Allow me to start off by introducing everyone. My name is GT from GameTech VR, and joining us today to talk about his career within the gaming industry and the studio's first VR game, Arcas Path, which is available now on PSVR and PCVR, is Dave Ranyard from Dream Reality Interactive. Woo!
Hi.
Woo! I'm clapping, but
On
it
the
doesn't make
sofa-
any sounds.
On the sofas in front of me, we have some of your favourite YouTube content creators. We've got Justin from Just Incredible
Hi.
VR, God Cannon from PSVR Underground. What's that?
Hi.
Dave Station from Dave Station VR.
Very good.
We also have your
Great
super
name.
squad of Rec Room and Master Builders.
thanks, Dave.
We've got Jason Liven, who is also the show's producer and backbone.
Hey.
Dorky
Hi,
the
Jason.
Awkward, with her new look. Very nice.
Hi.
Jules is not present, I believe. We've got
No,
Zalex.
not at the moment.
Cool.
Hello.
We've got Velp. Hey.
Hello. King Belt.
We haven't got clarity
Yes.
here, and we've got our musical maestro, the man that can apparently make ladles sing, Jimmy Jammer.
I've yet to try that. I've yet to try it.
You've got to try it, dude. Yeah, man. So, Dave, how are you today? You all good?
Yeah, very good. I actually finished for Christmas today, so
Nice.
Oh,
I've
fantastic.
got a couple of things to do
Oh,
tomorrow,
excellent.
but I'm going to start relaxing a bit.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Well done. Zalex, did I introduce you?
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah, you
I did. All right.
You
Sorry.
did.
I thought I missed you. Sorry, man. Sorry. Yeah, so I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you for joining us today, because it's a superb opportunity for the VR community to hear firsthand what goes into bringing VR games like Arcas Path to PSVR. That's what this is all about. So thank you for joining us.
All right. So do you want me to tell you a bit about how we got to Arcas Path?
So what I'm going to do
Yeah.
is I'm going to ask you about your background in your gaming industry, because I hear you're involved in some projects at Sony in the past, and I'd like to know how you got to this point to having your own development studio.
Yeah, it's taken a while. I first started making video games in '97, working for a company called Psygnosis that made Lemmings and Wipeout.
Yeah.
Do you remember those?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hold it, didn't they also do the wrecking game as well? What's the first? Destruction Derby.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
And
I also
games where stuff falls off a ledge potentially a lot of the time.
and I also
That's
worked
it.
on a game called Colony Wars. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh,
Yeah, I was on the
It's
PlayStation
kind of like
as well.
it's like a Star Warsy, not Star Wars game. But it was pretty good fun. So I was a programmer to start with. I did computer science and I did a PhD in AI 20 years ago, and then joined Psygnosis. And then in '99 I moved from their Leeds studio to London, and I was a coder there for a while. I basically stayed there, and I went from coder to audio manager to creative services to running SingStar. Does anybody remember SingStar?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Man,
I think everyone does.
Yeah.
Everyone does.
So,
SingStar was huge.
apologies for that.
Hey,
that was Christmas,
that was
yeah.
cool.
And actually, before that, does anyone remember The Getaway?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Had its
I played
16th
that.
birthday just last week, and
Wow.
I wrote the audio
Wow.
engine for that.
Oh,
Wow,
nice.
man. So you're a bit
That
of a
was
you're a bit of a
Yeah.
god, really.
Yes.
A gaming
that,
god.
well,
man.
I was only the audio guy on it, but that was interesting project, pretty hardcore to be honest.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
That was an
Like-
actual real map of London, wasn't it?
Real map of London. I mean, it was intense. What it did at the time, because prior to that, you would have to stop and load the next set of streets or something. The first game that really did this
Yeah, yeah.
seamless loading, which was massive at the time. But also, first game not to have an OSD. There's no like score or anything, and even there was no map. I mean, it was like naive, and the way it told you how to go is the indicators on the car would turn on and tell you which way to go.
Yeah.
A little bit simple. A lot of gritty script as well. But that was an interesting project. And then from that I did a lot of audio work, because I've been a musician in the past as well. So I built the audio studios for Sony. And then we started making more like couch social games. So we made iToy Play, if you remember that.
Oh,
An AR
goodness.
game. And then SingStar. SingStar was massive. I mean, it did like 200 different versions of the game.
That's crazy.
To go back
so I
to the
did that for-
iToy,
Yeah,
what was your
yeah.
favourite game in the iToy? I've got to ask, sorry. What was your favourite?
It's probably Wishy-Washy.
Yeah,
It's just such a simple concept,
Great idea.
and it was fun.
That one and the
And I was
ninjas.
at the time I was running the audio department, so I was on the same floor as those guys. So we saw them quite a lot, and we did music and sound effects for them. But I wasn't in like the core development team. But what they told me about that, which was really interesting, was they had like a proper eureka moment where it was about 9 o'clock at night, and they were doing something, because originally that game wasn't augmented reality; it was just using a camera to control the game. And they had this eureka moment where, like, oh, hang on a minute, if we see you on screen, it's a bit like when you walk up in front of a shop, you know, and they've got the TVs. And you can see stuff. That was like a fun moment. And then just watching somebody trying to do something was like a sort of I guess like a generation game or something like that. So that it was a lot of fun in that studio with all that stuff happening. It was super creative, you know, mucking about with cameras back in 2002 and stuff. And then SingStar was all about making microphones, which was kind of insane. Like, there was no karaoke in the West then, so the idea of getting people to sing at home to their TV set just seemed nuts. and then because I'd got the music background, I helped them set up the music licensing department. So we sort of went and found all the music, and all that stuff happened. And then I was working on SingStar about 4 years, and then there was a project called Wonder Book, and this was this weird augmented reality book. And we had this deal with J.K. Rowling, and this game needed to ship in a year. And so they asked me to produce it, so I did, and that was amazing as well, because I got to work with her, which was really cool. It was super interesting project. We met her a few times. She's really nice. She wrote new content for it, It was a little bit ahead of its time, I think, because it was like this book and this move controller and the camera. There was quite a lot of moving parts. But what it actually did was pretty good fun, you know, and a lot of kids liked it and people liked it. And then when we finished that, I then became the studio head of that studio. That was this Sony's London studio. And we pivoted to VR.
Cool.
And that was like 2012. And the interesting bit was, so we'd made this Wonderbook which used the PlayStation camera on PlayStation 3. And we had this great plan to move that to PlayStation 4 because the camera for PlayStation 4 was going to be in the box.
Yeah.
So on PlayStation 3, you maybe had 10% of the PlayStations had a camera.
Yeah.
PlayStation 4, they were all going to have a camera, which was brilliant. And then, do you remember the sort of big fight between Xbox One and PlayStation 4? And there was like, people were frustrated that the Kinect camera was in the box for Xbox One.
Well, because of the price, didn't it? They knocked £100 off the price by taking it out. Yeah.
Yeah, so PlayStation took the camera out, so we were like, what are we going to do? What was interesting was there was this kind of weird thing that some people that we knew had been making, which was, I'm not joking, it was a cycling helmet with a move controller strapped to the top.
Right.
And this like a mobile phone stuck in front of it, which then turned into the PlayStation headset.
Oh, that's amazing.
So we were like, actually, that's pretty interesting.
That's crazy.
That was like happening inside Sony. It was just nuts.
So Project Morpheus was originally just like a bike helmet?
Yeah, there's a photo. I'm sure there's a photo of it, and I don't work for Sony anymore, I can say it. There's like I'm not joking, I remember doing it, and it was a cycling helmet with a move controller on top.
That is
just incredible. To get some positional
crazy.
Tracking.
That is crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and that was. I probably did that demo in 2011, and then we'd done lots of this camera technology. So for the Wonderbook, it had these. The book had all these AR marks on it, and the blue lights that are on the front of the PlayStation headset are tracked using the same code or similar code library. So from a technical perspective, making those AR games is not that different to making VR games because of the tracking that's required and cameras and all that stuff. But also creatively, if you look at iToy Play or SingStar or Wonderbook, there's one big factor that is in line with a lot of VR games, which is that you're in the game.
Yeah.
And so creatively it was quite interesting as well. So then we went on and basically we made lots of different things for Sony when they were announcing their headset. So there was the Deep, which is now called Ocean Descent. Basically they all came out as VR worlds.
Yeah.
And I was running that studio.
Brilliant.
Really? And so there was the Deep, there was the Street Luge, there was London Heist, Scavenger's Odyssey, and Danger Ball.
Yeah.
Everyone's played them. Everyone's played them.
Yeah. Crazy. So we were making all those, but then I basically got a bit of itchy feet. I'd been with Sony for 17 years by then, and I'd gone from right in the menus for a football game through to running the studio, and I was like, I want to do my own studio, and so I left. I took this decision 3 years ago, almost to the day. So I left on actually January the 10th, 2016, but I was obviously thinking about it over the Christmas break. And I just kind of walked out into this weird dark forest of indie, thinking, not knowing really what was going to happen. I didn't have an amazing plan, but just thought, well, VR's interesting, I know a lot about it, I know a lot about development, so let's do it. Hooked up with a few former sort of friends and colleagues and set up Dream Reality. And then we actually opened on September the 1st, 2016, with 3 of us, and a few other people from Sony joined us. So the guy who'd been the tech director of SingStar, Genius, Richard Bates, a lady called Artemis Saflidou, who's a programmer who wrote Danger Ball. She made Danger Ball. She came and she did all the early prototyping on Arcas. And we used to make this joke, Artemis can only make games with balls. Which is probably still true. And another guy called Albert, who'd been like the thinking behind London Heist and a lot of that stuff. So we spent a few months just prototyping Arcas Path, and then we got it to a point where it was like we could pitch it, and we were pitching it. But then while we were doing that, we actually took on some other projects. So we did a project with David Attenborough and Sky TV, and that was really cool because I got to meet David Attenborough. We did all
wow.
this,
That's just...
which is
Dr.
I
Dave.
went to Seattle with him for a
I'm
week.
not doing it. I'm not doing
Wow.
it. I'm not doing it.
No, Jimmy. This is your time to shine.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. He's
Jimmy.
met the man. I can't do it. I'm not doing
Jimmy,
it.
you've got to do it,
I'm
man.
not doing it, Dr. Dave. I'm not doing it.
Please.
He's got an
Do a
impression.
really good David Attenborough impression.
Oh, go on, go on.
Oh no, I'm terrible at it. I'm terrible.
No, you're not.
Do it.
I need to. Right, it's
Anyway,
hard to do. Right, you let you continue.
All
Let
right,
you
go on.
continue. I'll let you continue.
Put
So
him on the spot.
I did get this thing where I had dinner with him 6 nights in a row.
Wow.
Which was pretty cool.
I bet
It was
that
just-
man's
he's
got
a-
so many stories.
Oh
Right.
my god, it was just amazing. He just
Yeah.
said, he told me all these, it was when they'd announced the new Doctor Who, and he said, oh, I remember when the head of children's TV came to me with this idea about a time traveller. And we
Yeah,
went and we
he had
sketched
all
it
these
out on the back
ideas.
of an envelope in the canteen. It
Wow.
was just insane. man, like talking to
That
him.
is insane. Like it's crazy.
So we
Yeah,
did
man.
all that while we were kind of pitching Arca, and then we, towards the end of that, then we found Rebellion, who have been absolutely wonderful. They're kind of 25 years in, or 26 years into making games as an indie studio, so they know what we've been through, and they've been really supportive and helped us. Great to work with them, because it's also meant that we can be multi-platform. Well,
Yeah.
so we're coming out on like 6 or 7 different platforms, which is good. So we finished the Attenborough stuff, and then went into production on Arcas Path, and that was January of this year. We went through sort of production and alpha and beta. Master took a while, more than we expected actually, because we ended up doing more and more headsets. I think we started off thinking we're going to do 3 headsets,
Yeah.
and then we've ended up doing 7. So it was like
What
we'd
headsets
just be
is the game
finishing.
on?
And,
Yeah.
it wasn't me actually; it was the team. And
Actually.
I felt awful for them to be like, "Hey, we're nearly finished." Oh, there's another headset, guys. But part of the thinking of Arca was the thing. I didn't come up with the idea. It was really Artemis and Albert who came up with it. But what I said to them was, what could we do that doesn't use any controllers? Because
Brilliant.
the early days, all the controllers are a bit different. And I think when we were doing it, even the touch controllers for Oculus weren't out. And we knew on PlayStation it was DS4 or Move, and you had to do both. And then on the Gear VR, there was just that little wand. So it's like, well, why don't we
Since,
take that
June.
out completely, and what can we do
Since June, and I'll answer your other question later.
not using them? And then I said,
I did see that.
why not try a ball? Because Artemis had already done a game with a ball. So then they spent 3 months trying different things, and to start with, they were moving the ball was staying still, and the landscape was moving, which is kind of how Super Monkey Ball works.
Yeah.
But when we tried that, it just didn't feel right. The world didn't feel heavy. It didn't feel real. So we just kept on persevering, and eventually they got the kind of the cursor mechanic. And once we'd got that working, it just felt like it was very intuitive. And so we kind of we wanted to make a game as well that anybody could play. So it was, it wasn't just like about hardcore gamers who know how to use a controller, and it wasn't about sort of complex twitch mechanics. It was more natural. But it felt like we got some secret sauce when we first got the controlling the ball by looking around and it following the cursor.
Cool.
And then there was
Yeah.
a lot of polish, and
great.
again the team did a great job of sort of, because at one time all the landscapes were quite angular, but actually we found that making them a little bit more curved and things was more gentle in terms of comfort and things like that. So there was a lot of work behind the scenes to make it a totally comfortable experience, and
Yeah.
so on. And then the mix of like slower gameplay and the more speeded up gameplay partly was actually influenced by early Sonic games. So I don't know, I can't remember which one it is. One of the Sonic games, the bonus level is like a half pipe and you're just picking up loads of rings.
Yeah.
It was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
well, that's
Yeah,
fun.
I
Why don't we
remember
have sections like that? And
Yeah.
so,
Those
you know,
are my
we kind
favorite
of just
parts,
built it
actually. I
up.
love those parts.
They're very hard, actually. I think they're really
Yeah.
hard. Yeah, go on.
And then I guess in terms of influences, certainly for me, so I did some work on Wipeout 3.
Oh, nice.
I never worked on the actual full game. I did this really weird piece of gameplay. So has anyone here heard of a Pocket Station?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the
It's like a weird little memory card. And it
Yeah.
has
Kinda
a
like
32 by
like a-
32-bit screen that's black and white. And
Did like
so
the
I wrote
Dreamcast,
this.
just like the
Yeah.
Dreamcast, the VMU.
Yeah, it was like the Dreamcast.
Yeah, the VMU. Yeah, VMU.
And I wrote a top-down racer that was basically a triangle going around a track that was supposed to be Wipeout Light, we used to joke about. But because the Pocket Station had an infrared, it was multiplayer. So we'd be in the studio, like 4 of us in this little racer, which was a lot of fun. But then the Pocket Station was never released outside Japan. It was just released as like a test in Japan, so it didn't make it out there. Or I do still have a version of it somewhere on a Pocket Station, which I'm hoping is worth lots of money now.
There you go.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And the other thing that was funny about the Pocket Station was because of this infrared, it could send infrared, but it could also record it. And the idea was that you could get your home TV remote and record it and then program it. But actually what they discovered was if you stood near a car while somebody was locking or unlocking the car, you could record the infrared signal for that car. So people were using it to break into cars.
Oh my goodness.
So that was kind of funny.
Crazy.
Anyway, the Wipeout was a big influence on me because I love the game, love the music, and love the visuals. And actually, the people there was a company called Designers Republic who did all the sort of graphic design around it, and that was a really close friend of mine who'd done that, Mike. And so anyway, they've been a big influence. So when we came to Arca, I wanted to bring some of that influence. So really like the amazing art style, gettable mechanic, and an amazing soundtrack. And so those were 3 pillars. Once we'd got the mechanic, I put down to the team and said, look, I really think we should do this. And I've got a really good friend who works for Ninja Tune, and he introduced us to this guy, one of their up-and-coming artists called Rafferty, who's written the music for Arca. And as soon as we heard his stuff, the sort of mix of organic and glitchy stuff, we knew that that's what we wanted. And he was great to work with. And then we also found this artist, Anna Holland-Rake, who just won this, or just become part of this BAFTA Breakthrough Brits, so she was being highlighted. So she came and did the amazing pink and green sort of art style. And we used to, early days as well, earlier this year I was joking about it being a game that's not afraid of the colour pink, which I always thought was a good... that was like the alternative tagline, you know. And then getting the simple gameplay. So putting those 3 things together was like the triangle that we have in Arca, and the narrative, the story just would run through that. So that was our kind of target, if you like, or our sort of mantra around developing the game.
So while you're talking about
just,
that particular colour palette, did you choose pastel colours on purpose in the game?
Well, it was Anna. It was Anna, and I think she just came to such a fresh idea of what to do. You know, it wasn't... I mean, there's quite a lot of neon in VR, and there's quite a lot of grit and darkness and sort of scary stuff. So I think it was really... We came with doing a sci-fi fairy tale, and so I think the pink and green represent, you know, the beginning of, I don't know, Jack and the Beanstalk or Cinderella or something like that, but in a more modern context. And then what I was keen for the team to explore was like having a beautiful world to start with that kind of gets a bit messed up. And so that there's an emotional driver for you to try and get it back to being beautiful or getting to the end, because you started in this beautiful place, you kind of want to get it back there. So that was something... I mean, I only ever like threw these ideas at the team and then let them really devour what made sense and what didn't, and build things.
Yeah, man, that's quality. So with the script and the way it's going, Dave, you're next.
I feel like after that my question seems so unexciting. It doesn't have anything to do with nothing to do with David Attenborough. Although you did touch on this a little bit earlier. I wanted to ask about. So I've never seen a VR game get released simultaneously on mobile, console, PC, everything at the exact same time. I can't think of anything else that has done that. So what were the challenges involved in getting everything together to have it all ready to go on the same day for every single platform? That's really unusual.
It was hard, right? It was hard because, you know, it's complex for the team. More headsets were being added, so we had a few more to do through that process. Luckily, we'd kind of moved with Rebellion, we'd said, let's just release just before Christmas, so we actually had the time to do it. So that was good. But we didn't really have that much bandwidth on the team. So the sort of 2 or 3 people that were doing that final work of optimizing to get it to run on the mobile headsets and so on did get a little bit like of war room fatigue of, oh god, I've got to optimize level 13 again. And so I feel, you know, they did an amazing job at doing that. One thing I was really pleased about, this sounds silly, but the guy, John Hibbins, who's the guy whose company make Winlands, on Facebook, he's the only person who said, hey, well done for releasing on all these platforms. And he's like,
it's very impressive.
Yeah,
he's a lovely
foolish,
as well.
maybe. Yeah. But I think in terms of a release, it means that all the activity can feed into all those different people. And part of the idea was, let's make a game that will run on any headset, and then we've got a bigger audience, you know. And another part of that was also to create something that is a great introduction to VR. So again, like we released before Christmas, seeing lots of people get headsets for Christmas. So this is a great game for them to get into VR and so on.
Awesome. Excellent.
Yeah, great.
Fantastic.
And so
you happy with yours?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you know, with all that being said, and you mentioned the helmet earlier. What was your first experience with virtual reality?
My first experience was doing a driving game in one of the Sony studios, running at 30 frames a second, and I felt sick for about 8 hours after.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And that was it was a bit unpleasant, but that was in like 2011, 2011 I think.
Wow.
So it was pretty early days.
That's early on, yeah.
Yeah, that is very, very early, and you know, everybody remembers their first moment in VR, so like that's probably not a great memory, but still, you kept it going, and now look at you. You know, it's like really special.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I actually had vertigo. My first experience of VR, I felt vertigo when I got lifted up.
Oh yeah.
And put into something, and obviously, it's a bit of a weird experience, but it's a good experience because nothing else can make you feel that way, just standing or sitting. So
yeah, my mate was a shark. PSVR Worlds, like VR Worlds, like that was the one. I had that.
Ocean Descent.
Ocean Descent is the one I put everybody in for their first one.
That's the one I put everyone in.
That's a good starter.
Yeah, I did actually, but I did.
Ocean Descent, and then we run the collection because it's a great idea.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
what about you, Jimmy? Did you want to mention that one about the Star Wars then?
Actually, yeah, because I mean, sound design, that's kind of my thing as well. Like, it's quite good to hear that you're into sound as well. The sound when the ball goes, it adds to the track, as well as obviously the generative sound effects, like trigger now and again. But it did sound like the pod racer from Star Wars Episode 1.
Oh yeah,
which I thought was.
I really like that sound.
I don't know if that. I think it's probably subliminal, but so our sound designer is actually a pretty good drum and bass DJ called Fearful, and he's just released an album. And so he worked with Rafferty. So Rafferty wrote all the music, and then Chris implemented it and the sound, and kind of worked with him on getting it to work through the track.
Yeah,
And actually,
it's fantastic.
the music's not. It's not that. It is changing through gameplay, but it also builds it to a crescendo through the level, which is quite interesting as well.
Yeah, like when you cross a bridge, like you get really tension moments when you cross bridges and stuff like that. And but like it's just the top-notch music, great design for it. But yeah, no, that's cool. Good to hear. Thanks.
So I'd like to ask, it's kind of tradition around here to see, and you may have already answered this with the Pocket device, but what is your favorite all-time console and game?
Oh, it's Mega Drive and Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, man.
Nice.
No hesitation.
That is just, you know, and I've actually, I'm quite good friends with Mark Cerny, who was the lead programmer on Sonic, and designed the PlayStation 4. And I have once been playing video game charades in a room full of developers, and they weren't getting Sonic, and I pointed to Mark, and then they got it.
That's good.
There you go.
I like that. I like that.
Also,
I like that.
Bandicoot and Knack and a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
I guess the next question should be, who do you not know?
I don't know, but I do. I'm on this GDC advisory board. You know, GDC, the Game Developers Conference. And so I've been on their advisory board for about 12 years, and so you do meet a lot of people through that, which is great.
Yeah.
And we do have... It's great, because every year the people in the industry send us all their thoughts of what the new stuff is, so we can look at it and say, is this worth going in the conference? So you learn a load of stuff. You meet some really interesting people, and you get to mentor the speakers as well. So you meet more people through that.
So I like that because that kind of passes it on.
Yeah, I find it really, really interesting. It's not like going to work and doing some training. It's like going and meeting some really talented people and then discussing the trends of the industry and what's happening, and you always learn something. There's always some trend that you've missed because it's happening in North America, not in Europe or something like that. Yeah. And but this year was interesting because we did all these meetings and they took us to Arizona. So I was saying I'd been to Arizona and we went to a cowboy ranch. It was so cool. And I was just so nervous beforehand because I thought, I'm going to be a terrible cowboy because I'm just like a nerd. And if you've got, actually I can do this in here, but so if you've got, this is the spectrum of like cool cowboys and nerds, right? I'm definitely over here. Game developers are all pretty much over here. And I'm actually here. Right. So I felt like I was like the coolest cowboy out of the nerds.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like
and
that.
that was a lot of fun. And just like we'd go cowboy horse riding at 7 in the morning because it's so hot. You have to go early in the morning or late at night. You've got the sun coming up. You've got literally the little fluffy clouds that Ricky Lee Jones talks about in the Orb track. And it was an amazing. And then you go and have a meeting about like super cool games in the video game industry. It was, one of my top trips probably. It was so cool.
How did you get on? Did you actually do any lassoing? Did you do any horse riding?
I didn't do any lassoing, no. I mean, I was pretty proud of myself for riding a horse, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that.
Absolutely. Can we touch back on the control scheme, Jason?
You kind of covered that, but I just wanted to add that it's amazing how accessible the games basically is to anyone that's out there. Like you said, anybody basically starting up or anybody in a position where they're not able to use their arms to use move controllers or anything else like those too. It's brilliant to appreciate that you guys did that.
Yeah, and I think that's... I mean, it was partly a byproduct, but it's also a lot of the games that we've worked on in the past have been quite accessible. So SingStar's a great example because actually, you need a voice. You don't need much more. And that brought a whole new audience, of different people who could play SingStar and really enjoy it. But also some of the iToy games as well. They weren't about like very fine-tuned Twitch mechanics and so on, or knowing, exactly how to change weapon at a certain time or use a grenade. It was much more about physicality, but in a not a loose sense, but in a kind of, it was more about how much energy you were putting in rather than fine-tuned precision. I think that was really positive.
More playful.
More playful. And actually, we always feel that it influenced the Wii that came a few years later.
I was just going to say,
absolutely,
I was going to mention the Wii, definitely.
Yeah. Well, not only that, the Kinect too as well. Not that we want to talk about Microsoft, but
still games.
Yeah.
I thought the Kinect was amazing on launch. I was day one.
The Kinect was great. It's just ahead of its time. And actually, I
there wasn't any software.
Yeah, but when the Kinect is linked up with VR, that will be pretty impressive. Having that skeletal tracking when you're in VR will
they have
make
done
a
it
big
on
difference.
PC, I think.
Yeah,
someone's been tampering with it. I'm sure they have.
Yeah, but it's like it hasn't been made mass market yet. But if you look at, has anyone done like the Void or the Dreamscape location-based VR?
I live about half an hour from the Star Wars Void, and I've been meaning to go down there. I hear great stuff about it.
Yeah, it's good. But it's interesting. If you do the Void, they don't have foot tracking, and if you do it the first time, it's fine. Second time, you kind of notice that your friends are moonwalking a bit because it doesn't know exactly where your feet are. And Dreamscape do put something on your feet so they track that, and it does make a difference. And I think that'll be for maybe not so much for home VR yet, but in the location-based, seeing full-body avatars working really well, it kinetically makes a big difference to the experience.
Yeah, I don't think you can beat Arizona. To be honest, Arizona Sunshine, that full body.
That was a joke, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I will say Firewall does an incredible job of that. I haven't seen a game that does it as well as Firewall.
It's all in the joystick.
Definitely. So, Dave, if you don't mind me asking, is there any other games you're currently working on, projects you can share from Dream Reality that you're currently working on?
Well, we released an AR game on iOS last December, and we did an update in April, and there'll be an update coming next year, and that's called Orbu. It's another ball game, and it's like AR where you hold the phone and use it as a camera, but it's basically like a mini golf game, but instead of just ordinary golf, the balls are little characters based on Japanese sculptures that are little characters of animals. So there's 4 different animals you can play. So we've done like a mini golf game, but then there's also a painting game and a pairs game and some other things you can do in that. But that's kind of a fun game. It's a little bit lighter than Arca in terms of its tone, and sort of designed for parents and their kids to go and play in a park or something like that.
Yeah.
There's an update of that coming. We're working on another title at the moment that I can't talk about that should be quite interesting, coming out next year, probably second half of next year. And then we've also done a bit of work just in like the health space. So we've done some work, but it's not games, but it's just helping people with anxiety and creating a VR experience where they can practice certain aspects of their life in a safe environment.
That is fantastic.
I love that idea.
I've always been talking about... when I first started doing my channel, people messaged me about VR anxiety. And it's weird.
Yeah.
And I understand it because certain experiences I've had. But yeah, that's really good that you're actually touching on that. That's great.
So we do that partly for... I mean, it's good social impact, and it's also... We're just learning stuff. VR space is so new that part of the work we do as a studio is we'll just work on a project if it's interesting, because we'll learn something. So that was a really interesting project. And we're also talking to some people about doing some education, but we haven't started that yet. But I'm quite interested in using VR in education as well, because I think health and education are 2 really interesting spaces where it can add a lot of value to the world.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we'll learn some stuff as well. So, why not?
And you can make some serious money out of it, because if you don't, and I'm just being honest, like if you have a certain company say, teach me, like I work on the railway, if you could, safety is everything. If you can actually take someone out, you can't, it's hard to teach people what it's going to be like when trains are running. Do you know what I mean? How to prepare for that, to step over that electricity cables. And so if you could do that in virtual reality, that would make a massive impact on safety. Do you know what I'm saying? It's the next step. It's as close as you can get without being out there.
Yeah, well, we're not making loads of money yet, but anyway, let's see. I mean, we're doing.
I just hope it goes that way.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, I think that it's going to take a while for the VR market to mature. It's been like there's this massive explosion to start with, and then you get the trough of disillusionment, which I kind of wasn't surprised by. I didn't think it would just everyone would get a headset instantly. Yeah. But it feels like it's growing steadily, which is really good. But I still think it will be a while before there's like serious money and so on in it. But 3-4 years, I think we'll be in a pretty good shape. And I'm happy about that. Bit of banging upstairs.
There's somebody at the door.
As a quick side question to that, having been in the business for a while, do you feel like the market is stronger in consumer VR or in that kind of like health and business? I assume it's health and business, but
I think consumer VR is very exciting, but it's hard. It can be hard for companies to guarantee to get the money back.
Yeah.
Whereas I think in sort of the health and business, it like you were saying with training, it can probably instantly it can be fairly easy to demonstrate that this work will save X over 3 years.
Yeah.
It's kind of easier to get into, but I suspect the entertainment bit in 4 or 5 years will be a bigger market. But I don't really know that much.
Yeah. So Jason, did you want to take over? Did you want to do the art style question that we had, or?
Oh yeah, the one that Danish had there. Yeah. The art style of the game is simply beautiful, and the contrast between the scrap metal junkyard vibe to the flora and fauna in the levels is very impactful. Entering the level, I immediately had a grin on my face and was actually happy for Arca to escape that dump. Was he looking for an emotional reaction? Or were you looking for an emotional reaction from players with a sudden shift in the environment? And sorry, that was somebody else's question. I'm just trying to read it for him. Apologize.
It's pretty much a a big inspiration from Slumdog Millionaire. Have you seen that?
Brilliant. Yeah.
And these kids are on the scrap heap, and the guy comes over with this amazing, like a cold bottle of Coca-Cola, and then takes them off somewhere that's much nicer. So it was like it's just a simple experience, and it's also a kind of classic fairy tale metaphor as well, isn't it? You know, that kind of in this not a brilliant life, and somebody comes over with an offer that's too good to be true, and it actually is too good to be true. So there was a bit of that in there.
Oh, excellent.
But you know, there's a conscious decision to have no dialogue, no text, and to try and take you on an purely emotional journey that was simple to follow the story, not too taxing, but also it's like easily gettable. And then the other interesting part was bringing in the graphic novel style and the movement, which I think, you know, I'd love to do more in that space. I think we did a good job of doing that well to start with, but I think there's a million more things you could do to expand how that works.
So. Yeah, that'd be neat.
Yeah. So, I love how the levels reveal themselves as you navigate through the environment. Was this always the vision for how the levels were structured, or was there earlier iterations with the entirety of the environment being visible in distance?
There's some technical challenges of having the whole level there being drawn, so it certainly helps us with that. So it was a balance between how big the levels could be and how much fogging you might put in, and it's basically a different technique to putting fogging in, which is what you used to do for draw distance. And we thought it was a more interesting thing because it kind of showed you the path, which felt in tune with the story and the name and so on. But we had a few creative solutions to a sort of traditional game development problem.
Well, I thought it was really interesting specifically because in VR you see a lot of pop-in, and usually it takes you out of the experience, but you guys folded it into the experience, which is such a great idea.
Which makes it work.
It works.
That was kind of the idea. It's like just do it face on and make it part
Turn a
of it
weakness
rather
into
than
a strength, essentially.
Yeah. Thanks.
Like Silent Hill 2. Do you remember that? That had a lot of fog.
And that was and if it didn't have fog, it wouldn't have been nearly as scary. So
right, exactly. Yeah. So that's Dave.
I remember.
Oh yeah. So you brought it up a little bit earlier when you were talking about the graphic novel style, but I really liked the cutscenes that you guys did have, because I haven't seen much in VR that kind of takes that comic book panel style and, you know, situates you in an environment where that's happening and progressing. And I thought that was really an interesting way to do that. Where did you guys get that idea, and have you seen any other stuff like that inspired you? Or
that was really Albert, who's like the main creative. He had this idea of that, and actually I thought it was quite a big risk, because for a long time we talked about the art style in the game and the art style, you know, out in the story bits. How do we get them to feel like it's one game? And I think we've done a pretty good job of that, even though, like you said, it's the scrap heap versus the kind of beautiful environment, but nevertheless there is some kind of continuity. And I think the big win for me with the graphic novel style was like having the movement and the depth.
Yeah,
so
that's fantastic.
It wasn't literally just like floating panes. They're actually moving, and you've got the 3D depth in them, and the way that kind of crossed over into sort of the game world at times. I thought that was really nice.
Yeah, I'd like to see more of that. I think it's a really good idea.
It was quite challenging for the team to work properly, you know, just like technically and creatively. We iterated on it quite a bit until we got to that place where we were pretty happy.
Awesome. So I'll go ahead and ask my question here. I really like how you guys added the ghost feature, where you can kind of like race yourself in a way. It gives that layer of like replayability for me that makes me want to keep trying and go again and again and see if I can kind of beat it in a way. But do you guys have any intention or plan on like adding like race your friends ghosts, or like a leaderboard feature or anything like that in the works, or any ideas behind that?
I think we'd love to do that, and if we get enough people playing, I think we'll try and build that in.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But it was just like, it was a bit of bang for buck, you know. We're going for all these different headsets. We wanted to get enough of the game in there, so then we thought, well, if we put the time trials in, we put the ghost ball, that kind of gives a flavour of that, and if we get some traction, then we'll go back and add some stuff.
Yeah, definitely worth thinking about for sure. But I love how it is in there now. It's like you're racing yourself. You just want to you want to do better and better. It's already a great feature.
Thanks.
adding to that, do you have any planned updates or DLC planned for Arcas?
Not directly. I think to be honest, the market is, as we've said, it's still fairly nascent. So we'll just see how it performs and see if we build a fan base. We'd love to engage and do more and make it more of a community, and hopefully that will grow from now. But we're kind of going to wait and see a bit and just see how we get on, see what the reception's like.
Nice, excellent.
GC? Is he there?
Did we lose him?
Did we lost him?
We lost him. Cannon.
His hands are moving.
Hold on, how many fingers am I holding up?
Check.
One
check.
big
Trick
one.
question, it's just a big
There
flat
he
hand.
is.
It's a big flat hand.
Back in the room.
So, I'm sorry. Give me bear.
I think you said you're a
Uh-oh,
bear.
I hope he's...
I don't
No,
know.
he's...
So-
I don't think that he...
Someone's a bear.
My thing flickered for a minute. We're good. So tell us the answer to the killer question we all have. What shape is that ball exactly? Is it a dodecahedron?
I've got no idea.
I like that answer,
You're
Dave. I
gonna
like that
ask Artemis.
answer.
You're gonna have to ask Artemis on that one.
I'll ask Artemis. Yeah.
It's a D20, that's what it is. It's a D20.
Nobody's been
Everyone
able
knows
to
it
solve
as a
that. That's
D20.
a real puzzle.
I'm sure we
With
could
the
find
PS5
out.
coming soon, Dave.
Hey?
What features would you like to see on the like the PSVR 2 headset?
Oh, updated move controllers.
Yeah.
Holes in every box. I'd definitely like to see that. The rubber bit just itches my nose all the time.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I find
Yeah.
that quite. I wish it was. I actually, in terms of just putting a headset on, I really like the Oculus Go because it just slips on. It's actually very comfortable.
Oh, yeah. It's great.
A bit more. I mean, lightweight. Full room thing. 2 cameras. I
Yeah.
don't know what sensors they're working on. Not there
Do you think
anymore.
any of
but,
that will
a bit
come?
more. I'm sure they'll do something with the move controllers because they've got like old USB on them.
Yeah.
So I'm sure
Unless you
there'll
buy
be some
new ones,
improvements.
that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
it's a bit tricky that there's no analog stick. So it would be great if they could
Yeah.
put an analog stick on at least on one of them. The other big frustration for me actually is we call it the frostrum, but the cone that comes out of the camera. So if you
Yeah.
use some of the other systems where you've got 2 sensors,
Yeah.
you don't have this kind of area that the move controllers get lost in.
Right.
Right.
So those are the
I
sorts of
think-
things I'd be looking for.
I think
Yeah.
it's more likely that we'd probably see like inside-out tracking than like multiple
Yeah.
camera setups because that makes it more, it heightens the,
That's the
barrier
Quest.
to entry.
That's the Quest you're
Nobody
talking
wants
of
to
there,
put
aren't
like
you?
3 cameras in their living
Right.
room. So.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think that's. I think you're right. We probably will get that. Would be great, and wireless would be great as well.
Yeah.
That's the Quest. The Quest has got both of those features, isn't it?
Yes. Yep. It does.
Even
And the
Lenovo-
Focus,
Lenovo
the Vive Focus
Mirage
as well
has
has.
it too.
Yeah. The focus is.
Wow.
great,
What's
yeah.
it? What? Have you tried the Quest, Dave?
Yeah, it's good. Good. I mean,
Yeah?
the challenge with the Quest is it's great, but you've not got the processing power
Right.
of a PC. So
Yeah.
you've kind of got all
Yeah.
the features of the high-end sets, but you've got the processing of a bit more mobile phone.
Right.
So it's all about optimization. But the principle of it is there, and that, for me, I think it will be the Quest 2 or the Oculus Go 2 that will be the tipping point. It might be like 2020 or 2021 or whatever, where it's like, I mean, it's a pretty good price as well for the Quest, I've got to say.
I was just going to say,
Right,
the Go
yeah.
was crazy. Towards run up to Christmas, it's been so cheap.
Yeah. The
to get a
Go's
Go.
under $200 right now. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
no.
that's the same over here, 160.
And the Quest will be
£160.
$400 out the box, so that's really great for
Yeah.
the type of tracking you're working with.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that the it's very aggressive on the hardware front, and things are getting a lot better. Like the usability of the Go and the Quest is really, compared to 2 years ago when you're plugging in so many wires and things. It's like you really need to be a radio ham buff from the 1940s, or an early photography fiend where you need to know so much stuff, but it's getting so usable now. You can put the Go in a minute, you're in VR doing something. You've not got any wires, you just, it's super simple. I think we're getting there, It's like the difference between an old desktop PC that needs a while to load up and so on, and say an iPad or a tablet where you just switch it on and instantly you're using a computer. So I feel like that friction is disappearing, which is great, and they're making really good improvements. I think eye tracking would be great as well. I don't know if we'll get that on the next PSVR, but I think that's a great feature that will come in the next 2 or 3 years, because there's a lot you can do with eye tracking. I
do believe that Sony will invest in another headset, without a doubt, because I still think we are the biggest selling.
They are, yeah.
And we are
by a mile. PSVR is by a mile.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the price of it now is incredible. Like,
$250 for a bundle? Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
5 games, isn't it? Is it the mega bundle?
Yeah.
It's 5 games.
Not in the US. We don't have one in the US, I don't think.
Not like that.
What deals have
you guys get the better deals?
We've got the Super Hot and the Moss and Astrobots, and then we have the new one, which is Borderlands Beat Saber. That's the big one.
Oh man, that is the bundle I'd buy though. If
that
I was walking past the shop, Beat Saber and Borderlands in a box.
Yep.
In virtuality.
That's a good start.
That deal.
It's an amazing start.
Yeah.
Dave, so you're to finish, man.
Oh yeah, so we pretty much always talk about the Sony QA process, but I feel like you'd probably have a different take on it because you actually worked at Sony for 17 years.
Yeah.
So everybody has kind of a different experience going through that. Some people it's really smooth to get through. Other people it's been kind of troubling to go through Sony's QA process because it can be pretty rigorous, it sounds like. So I was just wondering what your guys' experience was.
Yeah, I mean, we led development on PlayStation because it's got the hardest QA process.
Yeah.
So if you get through that, the others will be easy. That's the theory. I mean, I have been through QA a million times with different games, and sometimes it's a breeze, and sometimes some little thing gets you at the last minute, and then you have to wait. And it's all about getting these different slots. And if you're going for a Christmas release, and suddenly some, FIFA or some massive title comes in, you're kind of it's really hard to get another slot. So there's a bit of roulette that goes on titles when you're getting close to the end.
You can't just say, "Hey, I used to work here, guys. Come on."
You can't say that. No, but,
I'm kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
There's various things. You can do things like you can get them to test early. You can do a longer beta, so you're more confident about your bug count. I mean, there's a bunch of different things you can do. They do consultancy for VR titles. You can go to them and say, "Well, give us an idea of how good or bad we are with this," and so the main thing is to go eyes wide open, give yourself as long as possible, and give them as much information about the title as possible, and early builds and so on, and get feedback.
Yeah, because like Windlands 2 has been on PC VR now for quite a while, and I played it back in April, and it still hasn't come out to PSVR. So I'm assuming that's all down to the Q&A process and the optimization and.
Well, especially
it depends
like
on
Windlands
it. It depends. There might be marketing
that's
deals and things like that. They might be waiting for a big Christmas push or something like that. So
maybe. Have you played Windlands 2, Dave?
I haven't. I don't have a PC set up. I played the first one a decent amount, but.
So Windlands 2, man, they're really trying to do some stuff with that, and I didn't know whether that was the reason. I didn't know whether it was Q&A. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, thank you ever so much. Unless anyone else has got some. God Cannon has God Cannon.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I was.
He's just suggesting.
It was really nice to meet you, though, and it's really cool to hear. I really enjoyed your background, how you started, and big fan of Lemmings and Destruction Derby, and especially Colony Wars. If you still got your Cyanosis contacts, definitely tell them that Colony Wars in VR is something that I hear left and right. There's a big fan base behind that game still.
Yeah. So what games were on the Amiga? Because Cyanosis was on the Amiga as well. I remember the loading screen.
Yeah, there was a few
I think
there.
I think that was Lemmings. Probably mainly Lemmings. Actually, maybe Wipeout was on the Amiga.
Was there one called Beast? Beast?
Yeah, Shadow of
the Beast. Yeah. That's on PS4.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, reboot. Yeah.
It's really good, actually.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Oh, ideal. Well, yeah, cool. Thank you ever so much for visiting us today on the PSVR Chat Show.
Thank you. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you
for making this wonderful landscape. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it really is.
Oh yeah, we gotta get the picture.
These folks over here.
It's special.
Dorky.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You guys are hard
Jason,
workers.
Easy builders, man.
Jason, I
Yes,
take a
yes,
quick picture of you.
I'm getting the camera.
Yeah.
I'm getting the camera.
Awesome.
Good job.
We
Who's
remembered.
gonna,
They
wear
always
the, who's
remind
gonna
me.
wear the visor? Where's the visor?
Yeah, let's put it on Dave.
What do you think?
Do we have the
think we
visors
should,
around
Not
here?
one
should
in
we do it
here.
with the Arcas sign behind us?
Yes.
Yeah,
there's
the
only one
sign
on
would be
the
good.
first row.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sign right here, definitely.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Oh wow, there's a big one.
So good.
Come on, we've got 21 seconds to go.
There's
Come on,
one.
come on.
21
Yeah.
seconds to
What
go.
are you talking about?
I'll wear the
21
Oh,
seconds.
no, it's... Another one of them.
Oh, thank you. You're incredible. What a magician. We got a magician over here. Do you want to wear it? You won't be able to see
cool.
anything, but you can
Yeah,
grab it
yeah,
on your face and it'll
yeah.
just kind of
That's
sit there.
Yeah, but that
Raccoon's
is
new
very cool.
inventions.
Oh, are you
made
trying
that
to? Are you
possible.
trying to get his?
It's not sitting
I'll get it,
right.
I'll get
Oh,
it.
did you print
He's got
Did
it.
you print one out for?
Thank you, Tommy.
Sounds
Might
weird
be
when I say
too
it that
big.
way. But
There's
you know what I meant.
It's kind of on your face. There it is. There it is.
Oh, look
Excellent.
at
Okay.
that.
Oh,
Let me shrink it down just a little bit more.
I love it.
Dave, don't let Dorky do it. She's
oh,
a
I'm not touching
magician as
anything.
well.
No, I'm not touching anything.
Okay. Oh,
That's it.
hold on one
There
second.
we go. We don't need that one.
Hey, on my face.
Sorry.
Jump right in.
Hold on one second. You got your ignore bubble on.
It could be the cat, maybe. Cat might be causing issues.
There you go.
Excellent. Okay, so you can't see it, but it looks incredible. I guarantee.
Just right off the edge. See you later, guys.
Yeah, we just gotta.
I think
you
we're
gotta
gonna
cut
have to
him with
move the
your voice
selfie
now.
over to where David.
You should probably move it over.
He can't see.
Dr. Dave, follow my voice.
I love my chair.
We're coming to you.
This
with
chair is lovely. I always
I'll move
make
the
fun of
cam.
you at the beginning for how much you just like, oh, I love my chair. Oh, look at the chair. It's amazing.
I
No,
noticed
they
in the
are
middle
good.
of in the middle of
This
the
whole
interview,
area
you're
is
just looking at
amazing.
your own chair.
Look at the chair.
Yeah,
He was only like the whole half the time he was doing it.
Okay. This is an amazing chair. It feels so comfy. Liv, can you get it over there?
Over,
So this is kind of all facing. This is
that
God Cannon.
Yeah, we're facing
with
forward.
everyone else. Everyone with God Cannon. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the PSVR chat show hosted by PSVR Underground. We'll just wipe that off.
All right.
All right.
Looks
Yeah,
good.
Dr.
fit in there
Dave, you're
somewhere.
gonna want to look to your left just a little bit.
There you go. There you go.
There it
Yeah.
is. Perfect. Perfect.
I'm stuck on something.
Excellent. Let me duck down. Okay.
There.
All right. I think we.
All right, I
we got
think
it.
I'm just going to be off to the side in this one.
Hold on. Okay.
We can all move over a bit. Yeah.
There you go. Perfect, man.
There's more room.
Just as hard as in real life.
Are we ready? All right. 3, 2,
Two,
1.
one.
Arcas path. Woo!
Arcas Path.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Hooray.
See how it came
All
out.
right.
Oh, I can see it.
Share it on RecNet.
Nice.
I want to see it.
Are you
Thank
gonna
you,
print
Dr.
it?
Dave.
You gonna print it out?
Okay, guys, I'm going to sign out
Snatch.
now 'cause it's like 11:30.
All right.
Oh yeah, no,
Bye.
thank you
Yeah,
for
no
coming
worries.
over
Yeah,
and
thanks for
playing.
being
Really nice
Great.
news. Thanks so
Here's
much.
Here's a picture of yourself in the visor there.
All the pictures we take on here will go if you log in on rec.net.
How do I get this in the real world?
We'll
If you
give
log
you a
in
link.
through rec.net, yeah, I'll send you a link on where to
we'll
get
send
them.
it to
Actually,
you.
that'll make it easier for
Okay.
you.
Bye-bye,
We'll send
everyone.
it to you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you very
Thanks for
much.
coming. Have a good night.
Right, don't take the picture with you.
I got it.
Bye.
You won't be able
That's
to.
awesome. What? Oh, it's just flying around.
That's a good one. I think that's one of our best pictures yet.
I agree. That's
It
really
is all-
good.
I think so too.
Wow, that is awesome. Dr. Dave Jr. Oh man, what
Who's
is
that?
Look at Jason. Woo! He's got his fingers pointing every like a gangster. Let's see. God Cannon's got his thumb up and everything. That is fantastic.
Man, that guy was so interesting.
I know. He could
Incredible.
have
Dude,
just let him talk
I
and
felt
talk.
bad asking
know?
questions because I wanted to
And
let
you,
him talk.
and you had